and gentlemen, Mr. Jemaine Clement and Mr. Taika Waititi.
I've got a little bit of a fever, so I might say some feverish, surreal things, and I'm on children's Tylenol as well, so I might say some immature things.
Do you prefer children's Tylenol?
I don't, but I have a child and he has some Tylenol, so I borrowed his. Usually I stay away.
You had to take it off your kid, man?
Well, yeah.
So I know there was originally a short version of this, and I remember you guys saying something about how it originally came to be, it was inspired by a stand-up act you did. That was quite a while ago. How did this stay in your consciousness that you wanted to make it into a film?
How did it stay in our consciousness?
Just remembered, just kept it in there.
Yeah, if we talk about big lists of ideas, and the ones that keep coming back are the ones that usually have some legs.
So how different did it end up being from its original incarnations to what we have now?
50%. We shot this thing in town over a few nights in Wellington.
The short thing. That's what we're talking about.
So it was just an experiment, really, to see what it would be like. We interviewed the vampire characters. We didn't have the werewolf characters yet, things like that. And just the parts we liked, we'd stretched out, or we kept the things that we liked. You know, the characters that we thought would be interesting, we gave them a bigger story.
Fascinating, isn't it? It's a fascinating story, how we made a kind of a short film and then made a feature. And
I don't know, but that's the answer.
I think about 50% found it fascinating. 50% want a new question.
Okay.
So talk about a little bit about each of your characters and how you developed kind of their personalities. They follow these kind of archetypal ideas of vampires. How did you settle into which archetype you wanted to play with, how you came to love them both?
Well, Jemaine, I worked with him a long time, and whenever we're coming up with characters, his characters often are involved in orgies, often surrounded by lots of girls. And
something I like to explore with my characters.
Yeah, just with the characters, right? Yeah. My character is sort of, I wanted to be like the mother of the flat, of the share house, and I just basically played my mum, based it on her. She's the only mum I really know well.
She's the only one you've had, really?
Yeah, pretty much.
Also,
girlfriends have been like mums.
They looked after you, very nurturing.
Yeah.
That's nice. And you made one of your girlfriends into a mum. She's the mum of your daughter.
She's my ex-girlfriend, because I married her.
Does she know you?
I introduced her. This is my
ex-girlfriend. And wife. If I'm honest. I thought of myself as being an older, kind of a man who's going senile with age, and unpredictable, but then the other actor we're working with was quite unpredictable. We're not using scripts. We let everyone improvise around the scenes that we set up, and so I couldn't do that anymore because he would take that role of the guy you don't know what he's going to say. So I had to quickly change.
The film, it's loose in a sense. It takes the form of a mockumentary. What drew you to that? What drew you to making a mockumentary about these characters, about these vampires?
We wanted to make a documentary, film that, like a fake document. We wanted to make a documentary.
You can say
mockumentary. It just turned out to be fake. About something that you can't really document.
We wanted to make a documentary about vampires, but there were no real vampires.
So we had to fake the entire thing.
We wanted to blend naturalism with the supernatural, you might say.
Supernaturalism.
Yeah, supernaturalism is what we've
It's a new genre we made.
Is that like magical realism?
Yeah, a lot like
but
it.
Bit bigger. Super seems better.
Less eating chocolate and that kind of thing, though.
We wanted to blend, just make a documentary about something you couldn't actually do in real life. and have effects and make a revolving room so we could do a New Zealand version of Inception. Like just roll around on the ceiling and stuff.
How much fun?
If you
was
see the
that?
movie, you'll see that.
How much fun is it to roll around on the ceiling?
We wasted a whole half a day shooting what ends up being about 20 seconds.
It's not wasted. It's cinematic gold.
It was worth it.
Took half a day to weave that gold. How much fun is it rolling around in that room? It's very discombobulating. You get very dizzy because, so you know the idea. It's
How
like
do
a
you
hamster.
recombobulate?
You just have to get out and relax, I guess. The idea is you're in this room and it's like a hamster wheel and it turns round and round and the camera turns with it, so the room looks still, but you appear to be running up the wall and up the ceiling and things like that. But it's really like being in a tumble dryer and you haven't got anything to focus on because you think, you might focus on a point like that door handle, except you don't know where the door handle's going to be in real space. You just have to feel it, and you end up with a lot of bruises as well. We just tested it out first before we put the actors in, and we were covered with bruises.
It's a really hard job, what we do.
Yeah. Might be the hardest one in the world.
It sounds very physical.
It's up there with diamond mining.
I didn't know
Those
that.
are the two hardest.
Well, your subjects are vampires. It seems as lethal.
Well, the difference is we're mining for laughter.
How's it going?
It's okay here. There's a couple of little shiny little bits, but nothing big.
No big gems.
Being the film is kind of loose in its structure, can audiences expect to see more on a
More of
DVD
it.
and a special feature?
More than was in the trailer.
Well, actually, the structure is tight for the film, the story structure. So we know what was going to happen in every scene. Just the dialogue, we let people come up with themselves. But yeah, there's a lot of extra footage. We got about between 120 and 150 hours of footage, and then we had edited it down to 85 or so minutes.
You guys have spoken about, they didn't get to see the werewolves kind of in their full glory, but you had to put them together in a way. You used a lot of things left over in different effects shops. What was that like, kind of working on these designs where you did have this limited shoestring?
Fortunately, Wellington's full of people making big budget films, and we just go into the
Trash cans.
yeah, basically, what are you throwing away? So we went to Richard Taylor.
You can use this old werewolf head. Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll just take that. A few fluffy rags.
And these orc ears look a bit like vampire ears.
Let's go to a clip.
Okay.
Let's run that clip.
Very hard hitting and very raw.
A lot of it was in the American trailer that played as well.
It's a long trailer.
Yeah.
There is a rawness to it. I mean, how influenced by Errol Morris were you making? Dumb. It's weird he didn't wear that bow tie here.
Tonight.
Yes.
That was a
It
weird
is weird
choice.
that I didn't wear that giant bow tie. Thought about it and I thought, well, maybe tomorrow night for the screening.
Oh, yeah.
What was your favorite piece of costuming? I mean, you guys get to wear a lot of fun stuff in the film.
Costume. In the there's a big ball scene in the at the end of the film, and I wear a beautiful purple outfit that
Yeah.
I thought was very, very cool.
I
It was
wear a-
made out of curtains.
Really?
Not many people know that. Did you know that?
I think I heard something
wardrobe
about it.
woman made it out of some curtains. You'd never know, unless I was standing in front of a window.
And I wore a fake wolf fur cape at one point, which was quite a nice item to wear.
I'm going to throw fake paint on you for doing that.
What's fake
I'm gonna
paint?
fake spit on your fake wolf.
What's
fur.
fake spit?
It's like imaginary, invisible.
Oh, okay, I'm fine with that.
Too many fake wolves are dying for these coats.
We go into FAO Schwartz and round them up and slaughter them.
So how did the characters of these kind of polite werewolves develop?
We thought a lot about them trying to contain their anger, like 8 Incredible Hulks. So we wanted them to be pushing their emotions down so that they don't flip out and transform.
Deep.
Yeah.
Nice. It's
Yeah.
nice that you guys
A
think
proper
about your
answer.
work. We should start throwing it to the audience. You guys are here to...
But none of you, has anyone seen the movie? Oh, some of you downloaded it illegally.
Hi, I'm really excited about this movie because I love like the whole like vampire film genre, and I'm always really excited when decent vampire films come out. So my question is like, how interested were you in vampire films in general, or was this just kind of you thought it would be a fun idea, and like what kind of vampire archetypes were you interested in playing with for this film?
I took
She
the
was
last
looking
one.
at you mostly.
Well, I'm in the centre. It's hard to tell.
Yeah,
All right.
I know it's difficult to see.
That's all right.
I loved vampire movies growing up. I accidentally saw one when I woke up when I was about 5 years old. I saw this movie called Scars of Dracula, which is a very cheesy hammer horror kind of thing. It starts off with a very fake-looking bat dripping blood onto a pile of dust, and that dust reconstituting itself into Christopher Lee as Dracula. And it looks very funny now, but at the time it was the most terrifying thing. I didn't know how someone could have conceived of that. And I had nightmares about it for years. And I would keep watching and seeking out vampire films through most of my childhood and adolescence. So, yeah, it's stuck in my head a lot. You, Taika?
Yeah, I just watched a lot of vampire films as a kid. And The Lost Boys, actually, was the one that really affected me. I desperately wanted a trench coat like Corey Haim wears in that movie, and I asked my mum to get me one, and she got me I'm pretty sure it was a woman's one from a second-hand store. They had giant shoulder pads, so instead of looking like Corey Haim, I looked like Glenn Close.
Mine kind of goes off of her question a little bit. I was wondering if there were certain horror performances that you guys based your characters on or looked to for inspiration.
Yeah, for me, it's kind of, take a bit of this and a bit of that from different characters. I tried for a Bela Lugosi accent with a bit of a Gary Oldman and Dracula look, but as if the character hadn't been quite as successful as those guys, or he'd hit hard times.
I sort of based mine, as I say, on my mum and also C-3PO.
What about the look? We would also make these...
Well, I was going for C-3PO in a sort of Tom Cruise body, with a sort of Tom Cruise, Brad Pitt hybrid face.
Oh, yeah. We had big kind of look sheets, I guess, that we worked on with our wardrobe designer. So we'd add some vampire characters, like classic. So Deacon, the other main vampire, was the Lost Boys, and some band members, Jimi Hendrix, people like that. And I had Gary Oldman as Dracula, as well as Nick Cave, Karl Lagerfeld, some real life people as well. And you had
probably some Mr. Darcy character from some movie.
Colin Firth was definitely on there.
Colin Firth, yeah.
What was your experience like working with Tina Fey, Ricky Gervais, and Ty Burrell? And did you ever meet all the Muppets like Kermit the Frog and Ms. Piggy and Fozzie Bear?
I want to know what those guys are like, the Muppets.
Yeah, the Muppets.
Were they polite?
They were very polite. But to be honest, in the prison scenes, some of those rats have quite a dirty humour. And you'd be surprised at the kind of things they said to me. But everyone else, Kermit was a real gentle frog. Miss Piggy, I didn't get to meet her, unfortunately.
Lucky for you. I think she would have been all over you.
You think so?
Yeah.
Do you think I have something Kermitish? Is it my skinny arms and belly?
And you're green.
My greenness. That's just because I'm sick at the moment. Yeah, well, I don't know. I remember there being rules about what you're allowed to say about the Muppets. Break the illusion. So I can't remember what. I could tell you privately what they're like.
Hi, I was wondering if you can briefly talk about the house. I know you said that you constructed a room, but was most of the set constructed, or did you have a set location?
All the interior of the house was built, constructed. Every interior of every house is built, really. But this one was built on a stage.
Specifically for us.
Yeah, this one was built for us, for the movie. And it was, we can tell them that, eh?
Sure.
We've been telling everyone.
We've
been telling everyone. We're not allowed to tell anyone, but
we're not supposed to tell everyone
we
this.
Can't shut up about it.
But the walls are actually made from old bits of green screen from The Hobbit, which shot in Wellington as well. They're good movies.
Hobbits and Muppets. That would be your ultimate movie.
Hobbits and Muppets.
Hobbits and Muppets.
That would be. I like that too. So if you peel back the wallpaper, it's bright green, and we had a few things that we asked our set designer, who worked on The Hobbit and our film, which was to leave the ceilings open so that we could fly around on wires if we needed to, and
we pre-lit all the rooms so that, because we improvised the entire film, we wanted the ability to just at any point in the scene just get up and walk out and go to another room, and a camera could follow you in there. So it really was more like a documentary. So a lot of the stuff was found.
The outside is an existing building.
It's Peter Jackson's office.
It's true. We borrowed a lot off Peter Jackson.
Hi, sorry, this question's also kind of for Jemaine. I'm a big fan. You've done such a... Feel free to answer too, though, if you find yourself...
Yeah, you can talk.
I don't want to answer.
You can talk to people about me if you like. You know a lot about
You
me.
ask me, and I'll see how well I know this guy.
Okay.
All right, so you've done so many cool things. With
No,
your
I don't know about
background in comedy.
Not so many, just like...
And as a musician, I mean, I don't know about you, and as an actor and voice actor, and now a writer and director,
there's too many
do you
things.
find that there's like a common thread in the characters you play? And also, what is one thing that you haven't done that you'd like to do to add to your repertoire?
Yes. I guess I started off writing, and with Taika we started.
Yeah, I was involved.
And also Brett McKenzie from Flight of the Conchords would work in a group with us, and sometimes separately. Brett and I had our band, and Taika and Brett had a theatre show that they did without me. That's cool.
Everyone was cool with it.
Everyone's cool with it.
Everyone
It's
seeing
okay.
other people.
I don't really mind. I like to draw, but I'm not that good at it. But I'll try it.
You are really good at drawing, Jemaine. Now, come on.
I was just fishing for
Yep,
that.
he's very good at drawing.
I guess. Thank you.
I think you should work on your writing, on your freehand.
Make it a bit
Sometimes very
tidier.
hard to understand sometimes.
Yeah.
Seeing notes.
Bit messy.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'll work on making my writing a little bit tidier for people to read is something I'd like to work on next. It's my next
We
point
can
of
work on that
focus.
together. I can help you with that.
Thank you. Is your writing that tidy though? It's got a style.
I
but it's
actually found that
hard to
I had
read.
to make my writing less legible so you could understand it.
Right. Okay.
Hi, Taika and Jemaine. How are you doing?
Good.
Good. My question is actually, or first, I'd like to start by saying I was lucky enough to see the film a while ago, and it was fantastic.
What site did you download it on?
No. I actually saw it at a festival.
Okay, cool,
And
thanks.
I have to say, it was really memorable. One of those movies that really sticks with you until the credits, and then I
Until
just
you
really
leave.
couldn't remember any of it. But my
That's a
question
private joke.
is
You'll understand that when you see the movie.
my question is actually, since it was mostly improvised, I'm actually an improviser and a filmmaker as well. I was wondering, how did the structure of the film evolve as it went along? How did it change, and was it filmed chronologically?
Yeah, it was filmed as chronologically as possible, and we actually had a script. We knew what was happening. We knew what the story was, but we just decided to not show the actors because we wanted the performances to be very real. And
they're very real.
They are so real, so realistic. And then, so the editing took about 14 months. So we were getting through, that was just going through all the material. As we say, it's like 140 hours of footage.
The only times that we didn't film chronologically is if one of the actors was only available that day, or we had a lot of effects, so we had to have extra crew to do the effects. Because otherwise, you've seen it, it's just us in a house, but sometimes we'll fly and someone will turn into a bat and someone will burst into flames. And so, but yeah, as much as we could, just in case anything we came up with early would affect the story later on, or we'd be able to call back a joke later on. And we did add some stuff, like my character. We filmed some extra stuff to make you know that my character was in a low place, because that didn't come across in the first edit.
Did the structure change in the way, like, I guess, like, some of the characters, there's some things I found in the film that, like, just there's no way you could predict from, like, starting it, just the way it felt. I mean, maybe that was just the acting, but it just changed, and I can't help but feel like maybe you added something, you were like, oh, wow, let's go with that, let's keep that going, let's make that bigger. Like, maybe, I guess the example I could think of is, like, Stu. Like, I can't think of any reason why, you know, you would know that from the beginning.
We did know that he was going to be... Stu is this character that, for those of you who are about to see the film, you're going to really love Stu. He's a really great character.
I want to be Stu.
So Stu's basically playing himself. He's my old flatmate. And
he works in IT.
Actor. He's not an actor. He works in IT. And he plays Stu, who works in IT. And, So
but the thing is...
he was always a big part of it.
We wouldn't have known that, but we had made a short, and we'd put him in the short, and we knew he stood out because he had a different style to everyone else, because he wasn't a performer. And when we wrote the script, based on a lot of the stuff that we came up in the short, we made him a really big character. But in the short, it was more like you described, where we would just someone make a suggestion and then we'd go and do it. But in the feature, we couldn't do that so much because we had a plan and we had to stick to it, and we had limited time, and we had our the shots that we had to get every day. But some of the things that were based on the earlier version were things that we just thought of on the day and improvised in the short version.
Well, my question's kind of similar. Because it's all improv, I was wondering how you prepared. Like, do you just sit around and riff each other to try and get the juices flowing, or how did it kind of go?
You don't know? Well, we did start off...
Well, life is a big improvisation, isn't it? We're just improvising right now.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm going to say next.
I think that's clear.
Yeah. We should have rehearsed this, all of us.
No, well, we'd
done the question and the answer thing.
Yeah. We'd done the short, so we had done the characters, most of us. Other characters we wrote for the actors, so we tried to guess how they would speak, and then because they got to choose their own words, it didn't feel strange coming from them. And sometimes we would just start off really simply. So it starts off with Taika's character waking everyone up, and then we have a meeting, a flat meeting, and so start off with really basic stuff, nothing too emotional or anything like that.
I mean, we're all asking you questions about vampires and your research for horror films. What was your research for documentaries as an inspiration?
Well, we actually watched a lot of mockumentaries for research, but documentaries, I think originally, I was always going on about Grey Gardens as an observational
that's one of your
piece.
favourite. I watched. Well, we watched different things. We didn't have all the same influences. So I got a whole pile of History Channel documentaries, which we imitate a little with the, woodcuts and zooming in onto oil paintings and that kind of thing. And also another thing, I wanted it to be like Some Kind of Monster, the Metallica documentary, where you don't know who's going to be the main player in that film. It surprises you who it's going to be. So that's one thing we were trying to do.
Hello?
I was hoping it was going to be you asking the last question.
Well, thank you. I'm right here, ready to ask the question. All right, so you guys have obviously worked together a long time. What I'm wondering is...
Because we have this...
What?
Rapport. We just know how to
finish
each other's
words.
Sentences?
Yeah.
You've got it. So what I'm wondering, this is a really serious question, I'm sorry.
Good.
Would you compare your relationship as more like a loving romantic relationship, or is it more like a very competitive,
Look at this body
angry
language.
sibling kind of at each other's throats relationship?
It's developed and matured as we've worked together. The first thing
become less physical?
It's become less physical over time, but more understanding.
Like a real relationship.
It's
now it's just at the point we can't stand each other's voice, the sound of each other's voice.
Oh, that's
you just
awful.
want to.
No, that's not true.
It's not true at all.
It's not true.
Of course, it's not true.
When we first did our first play together, he's hanging on my every word. When we first did our first play together, the night before we opened, I thought we were going to punch each other up. I thought it was going to be a big fight. We never got to that. We had to go somewhere, and the car broke down, and then we had to walk, and we called off. I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry too, bro.
Yeah, man.
It's beautiful.
Thank you. And then sometimes on stage, when we do plays, we'd improvise insults to each other, and sometimes it would get very personal, and then start to talk about, what was going on in each other's relationships or things like that, while the woman in question was in the audience.
Then afterwards, be like,
well, I was so angry at you.
Blow, man.
Yeah. But we've gone past that, and now we work easier together without that kind of layer to it. Fortunately, I don't think we probably could have kept going if we were still like that.
Fantastic.
Talking to this.
Thank you guys for coming.
Asking.
Thank you, Mr. Jemaine Clement, Mr. Taika Waititi.
Thank you.
What We Do in the Shadows opens on Friday. Please tell all your friends and go see it on a giant screen with a giant...
I worked with him a long time, and whenever we're coming up with characters, his characters often are involved in orgies, often surrounded by lots of girls. And
something I like to explore with my characters.
Yeah, just with the characters, right? Yeah. My character is sort of, I wanted to be like the mother of the flat, of the share house, and I just basically played my mum, based it on her. She's the only mum I really know well.
She's the only one you've had, really?
Yeah, pretty much.
Also,
girlfriends have been like mums.
They looked after you, very nurturing.
Gentlemen, Mr. Jemaine Clement and Mr. Taika Waititi.
I've got a little bit of a fever, so I might say some feverish, surreal things, and I'm on children's Tylenol as well, so I might say some immature things.
Do you prefer children's Tylenol?
I don't, but I have a child, and he has some Tylenol, so I borrowed his. Usually I stay away.
You had to take it off your kid, man?
Well, yeah.
So I know there was originally a short version of this, and I remember you guys saying something about how it originally came to be, it was inspired by a stand-up act you did. That was quite a while ago. How did this stay in your consciousness that you want?
Like we stretched out and we kept the things that we liked. The characters that we thought would be interesting, we gave them a bigger story.
Fascinating, isn't it? It's a fascinating story how we made a kind of a short film and then made a feature. And
I don't know, but that's the answer.
think about 50% found it fascinating. 50% want a new question.
Okay.
So talk about a little bit about each of your characters and how you developed kind of their personalities. They follow these kind of archetypal ideas of vampires. How did you settle into which archetype you wanted to play with? How you came to love them both?
Well, I
wanted to make it into a film.
How did it stay in our consciousness?
just remembered, just kept it in there.
Yeah, if we talk about big lists of ideas, and the ones that keep coming back are the ones that usually have some legs.
So how different did it end up being from its original incarnations to what we have now?
50%. We shot this thing in town over a few nights in Wellington.
The short thing. That's what we're talking about.
So it was just an experiment, really, to see what it would be like. We interviewed the vampire characters. We didn't have the werewolf characters yet, things like that. And just the parts we liked.
Yeah.
That's nice. And you made one of your girlfriends into a mum. She's the mum of your daughter.
She's my ex-girlfriend, because I married her.
Does she know you?
I introduce her. This is my
ex-girlfriend. And wife.
And wife.
If I'm honest. I thought of myself as being an older, kind of a man who's going senile with age and unpredictable, but then the other actor we're working with was quite unpredictable. We're not using scripts. We let everyone improvise around the scenes that we set up. And